has a new style terminal board for accessories, and I was going to show you an easy way to get it out. So you got to make it, I mean, you can reach it through the top console if you take the little box out, and it's kind of down on the front firewall down there. But to get to it a little bit easier, these little gray pieces, they just pop up. They have little clips on them, so the gray pieces pop up, get out of the way. This one goes here, it pops up. Over there, there's one that goes all the way around. It just pops out. And then there's torque screws that hold it down. One here. There's a couple on the front, on both sides. And there's two right here. And you basically kind of, this is under the fender a little bit. This is. But get our helper over here. So hop on the other side. So once you kind of get it all pulled out, you kind of got to wiggle it around the dash a little bit. Once you wiggle it all out, careful on Ultimate models, there's a USB wire in here, so you have to take it out of the box and feed it down, and then you can kind of just pick up the whole dash and just set it back out of the way, and then you're fully accessible to under the dash. There's your terminal board. It has these little dummy plugs. So there's a couple companies that make this plug with pigtails on it that you would plug in, then you could splice in whatever you need to splice in. Polaris accessories will have a plug on them, you just plug them in. So that's another thing I thought people would like to know about Pro XP. So the dash is not crazy hard to get off. Like I said, a few bolts up here, pop the gray trim off, and a few bolts on the back side. Of course, you got to take the glove box bolts out of the top of it, and then everything kind of picks up from the back, and you can kind of wiggle it out. You don't want to break that little tab that's down under here. You don't want to break those little tabs, but you just kind of pry it against each other, and you can have the whole dash out. It takes just a couple minutes. Once you figure out how to pop the trim pieces up, take the bolts out, and you can really get to where your accessories go. And then you can they got plenty of room for switches, so you can pop your little switches out, and then you can get to the backside really easy. So they really made it a little bit easier to add accessories. So you just need pigtails, and you can get to your switches, and you can run your wires, and you just set the top of the dash right back on. So that's Pro XP accessories. So also at Pro XP, they offer different stereo kits from the factory. This one being the Ultimate, it has a speaker right here on each side and a speaker down here on each side. If you get stage 4, basically you'd have to take the top of the dash off. You pull the glove box out, and there's a new glove box that goes in that has a 10-inch woofer on it. Or they have another woofer version that has a 12-inch woofer that replaces this, and then there's no glove box. With the 10, there's still a glove box. Stage 4 also comes with like little pods that go back here. Stage 5 has more pods. So that's just kind of let you know how you're going to have to take it apart to get to it. But like I say, on the front, there's just 3 little screws, and then these on both sides. Pretty easy. So we got them both right over here together. There's current Razor and Razor Turbo access cover, and there's what you see. Mostly just the air filter and oil change and spark plugs. Pretty simple. Here's Pro XP. 4 bolts, and you grab that little handle right there, and you pull up and pull it all back. Whole tray comes out, and look what you can get to. You can access everything. Access everything really easy. Now the air filter changes from the front. So I'll show you a picture with the front cover pulled off. Pretty amazing. Really did their homework. Pro XP, pop both the seats out, move them forward, or take them out, and half the firewall comes off. There's your air filter. There's your firewall piece. Firewall is only 4 of these little pop pins on the top. Now on the bottom, you have a pop pin on each side, and then a couple screws that connect it to the console, and then it pops out. Most of the time, you'd never have to take the bottom one out, but if so, it's not very hard. Pro XP firewall, very simple, very easy serviceability. You get 2 things. Also, the battery is laying here under the driver's seat, and there's a lot of extra storage down here around the battery, so that's actually pretty nice. You could actually, you know, maybe some company will make a little box and store some stuff, or it looks to me like the way this little battery band is and bolted, there's a little bolt hole already here, and it's the same size little ridges, so it looks to me like you could put a whole nother one of these batteries here and run a dual battery setup. A lot of thought went into that. And on the Pro XP, it has a dual output 900 watt stator, so it's making roughly 72 to 75 amps. Old current turbos and XP 1000s are single wound. I think they're 350 or 400 watt, so they're making roughly about 43 amps. So that's why any kind of accessories, you overload your charging system and then you run the battery dead because it just can't keep up. The 900 watt stator came out when Dynamics came out because it uses more power to run the ECU for the shocks. So Turbo S Dynamics has 900 watt stator also, and any Dynamics car has 900 watt stator. But now the 900 watt stator is coming standard. Pretty awesome. Also, here is the current seat layout. So the seat is a tube and then little grooves. So the grooves go on the front end right there, and the tube clips in right there. So aftermarket seat companies are going to have to make a seat base that will attach to this seat base and then attach to their seats, because this is molded right into the seat. So that's for you, seat companies. Y'all gonna have to come up with something. Here's a good look at Pro XP floorboards. A little bit narrower, a really big dead foot for your right hand foot. And on the passenger side, you have dual dead foots. On a normal RZR, you have one dead foot and then the floorboard. And then on the driver's side, your dead foot's pretty far away. So we're definitely wider on the old style, but not as long as far as length from seat to floorboard.